Hello. Okay, The Creator, directed by Gareth Edwards. Now, I want to start off by saying I'm a massive fan of Gareth Edwards as a director. I love his style of filmmaking. He does a fantastic job at creating scope and just creating this real kind of sense of epic scale within his movies that just feel very real and just feel that they could exist within our world. I'm just a massive fan on how he shoots his movies. So yeah, I was really looking forward to checking The Creator out. I've liked the trailers. So the plot of this film, set in a future impacted by war between the human race and the forces of artificial intelligence, follows an ex-special forces agent who is recruited to hunt down and kill the Creator, who has developed a mysterious weapon with the power to end the war by destroying mankind itself. So the film has this grounded, earthy, realistic aesthetic to it that just allows us to be immersed into a world that tricks you into thinking you can touch or smell it. It has this Blade Runner vibe about it, and it's clearly inspired by movies like Blade Runner, but it also has its own distinct style, and it feels like a Gareth Edwards movie, and I just love sort of the aesthetic and a lot of the design of the components, like sort of the items that these characters use within the movie. It's very retro, but also for me, who grew up during the 90s, also just feels like yesterday as well. Like this is one mechanism that they use within the film. I can't actually remember what it was. I think it was like a radio device, and it looked like a Game Boy, or at least the shell of a Game Boy, and I loved it. I just adore the way in which Gareth Edwards shot this movie. It's very guerrilla style, very small crew on location, and you really do sense that through this experience, and it just makes it so much more grounded and real. As a result, it feels like a world that's being lived in and that you can touch it and you can smell it. Yeah, I just really adore the way in which he shoots his movies. I think Hollywood and these big production companies, they just need to look at how they've made this movie and sort of learn from it, because this was a much more immersive experience and an enjoyable experience, and just one that you can just go along with, compared to a lot of these other films that they pump so much money into. And you don't need to be pumping all that money into these movies to make films have this big epic feel to them, because this movie is big in scope. It has that epic feel to it. It looks beautiful, but the budget is nowhere near any of those big Hollywood studio movies, and so I think they really need to take note here with this. It's how the world is brought to life that allows me to remain immersed within this story. It was very dreamlike and mesmerizing. It's futuristic but also very current, with the story's events reflecting real world events from now and the past. There are a lot of themes and ideas within the story, with many layers, and I feel that this movie is one that I will watch over and over again and just find something new within it. There is a lot to unpack within this movie when it comes to its themes and its ideas, and they never really come to the surface. It sort of just skims all over them, and it sort of touches on them, and that kind of sums up my overall experience when it comes to the movie's themes and its ideas and characters even, and their journeys. I felt like nothing really truly comes to the surface and is never really fully focused on, and because of there being so many layers within this movie that you can just unpack. Now, I really do like that aspect, because this is a movie that I feel you can watch over and over and over again and just really dig into it, because there is a lot within this story. But I just think as an overall experience for me, it really does touch on a lot and just skims over a lot, and that's the same for the characters as well. I felt the film really did lack character development to really get me emotionally invested into the characters' journeys and stories and their relationships with one another. And I feel like it's the way in which the film flows, the story flows. Like, the pacing is pretty spot on. I think just the way, there's nothing in this movie that really throws me out of the experience. I was immersed from beginning to end. But unfortunately, when it came to the characters, I just could not really get emotionally invested into their journeys and their relationships, and that just really frustrated me. You know, the overall movie, on reflection, it did feel perhaps kind of very convoluted as a result, and I just think I just wanted the film to just have the story to just have a little bit more focus on certain themes and ideas that it was exploring. So yeah, it was a very, very enjoyable and immersive experience for me, but also a very frustrating one as well, because I just really needed to be invested with these characters. But, and this really surprised me, it still manages to land an emotional punch right within the third act. And I was really surprised by this, but I think it's down to the stellar performances from both John David Washington as Joshua and Madeline Una Voiles as Alpha Omega. They give real beautiful, grounded performances, and I cared about these characters even though the development was lacking, which did result, you know, it really resulted in me being frustrated as well with the experience, because I wanted it to be emotionally deeper. It's there, it has heart, but it's also very artificial, you could say. But I just feel like, you know, these characters, even though the development was lacking, and I just could not get as emotionally invested into the journeys and the relationships with one another, I still cared about these characters, and a lot of that is down to these performances. From both John David Washington and Madeline, the little girl that plays Alpha, she's just absolutely amazing in this movie. There's a moment within the third act and it fucking punches you in the gut, and it's all through her performance, as well as John David Washington. I mean, they are both fantastic in their roles, and again, that's another fucking frustrating thing with this movie. It's like, there's so many aspects within this film that works. Unfortunately, I just feel like it was just a little bit too convoluted, maybe, to really fully sort of come into fruition when it comes with the ideas and the themes of the characters and all of that. But I remained immersed through this entire experience. With all those frustrations there, I was immersed from beginning to end, because it's the way in which they bring this world to life through the cinematography. The music by Hans Zimmer is simply beautiful, and just the performances from the cast. Every single member of the cast here really do perform and give a very real and grounded performance. Even the robots within this film felt very human, and the story, you know, the ideas, the themes that it's exploring are very real world, and it's happened with us. They are themes that you can really connect to because they are very human, and it's all those elements that just allow me to remain immersed within this movie, even though I had all those frustrations with the characters. The Creator. It's a sci-fi epic that looks beautiful, it feels real, it feels human. It doesn't reflect our current fears of AI, and it's almost like a fairy tale, hopeful version of that fear. But I just love how they take those fears and use it to lay bare our faults as a species as we have evolved. It's an exploration of the human condition. So there is a lot to love about this movie. There is a lot that I loved, with all the elements and aspects that, you know, sort of came to bringing this film to life. So much worked, and unfortunately I just could not get emotionally invested into the characters' journeys and their relationships. But just this experience is such a mesmerizing, captivating experience, and I just loved the look and the feel of this film. It's almost like a mesmerizing sort of peek into a very real future that could potentially, you know, happen. And it's a very hopeful peek into that future, but also a very fearful one as well. It kind of leaves a shadow over you as you're leaving, but also at the same time you're somewhat hopeful as well. It's a movie, it's a very thought-provoking movie that kind of stays with you, and that's why this was such a fantastic, mesmerizing, epic experience that I cannot wait to watch again. I think Gareth Edwards have done a fantastic job at bringing this world to life, It does have its flaws, as I've repeatedly mentioned, but it wasn't enough to take me away from the experience, to throw me out of the experience. So yeah, they are my thoughts on The Creator, and I will be giving The Creator an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, they are my thoughts on The Creator, but what did you guys think? Please let me know below. Did you agree or disagree with anything I've said? Did you love the movie or hate the movie? Then please let me know and let's get a discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see future reviews from some random Welsh geek rambling on, then please hit the subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot. I just want to say a massive thank you to all those that have subscribed through the week, for the previous week. It means an awful lot to me. I'm hoping to hit 200 subscribers by Christmas. So yeah, it really does mean an awful lot to me. I got 2 reviews coming. I've got a late review for Ahsoka episode 7, and I'm going to catch Saw 10 this afternoon in the cinema, so you'll also have a review up of the latest Saw film from me by Sunday the latest. So yes, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.